Okay. So this will be a 13-page document, and it'll go through all the details of the Global Debt Elimination Program. I'm going to show you all the pages, but I'm going to just give you a quick overview so you don't focus on the wrong information and you focus on what really the client really needs to hear and see. Okay. So this is the main page, and we're going to skip the first 6 pages and start on actually page 7, because this is just generic information. As you can see here, talks about the Global Debt Elimination Program, what it is, what it can do. You already had this conversation with the client, so we don't need to be focusing on all this information here. You want to go straight to the numbers. And the first page you want to present to the client is page 7. Okay. You're going to see that we're going to go from general information down to more specific as we go through this presentation. So in general terms, your debt analysis says we're going to save a total of $362,000 in principal and interest for 25 years.
Hey, Rodolfo, real quick, can you zoom in on that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, is that better? Okay. So based on the analysis, you're going to save a total of $362,000 in principal and interest for 25 years. That's a lot of money to save. Oh, sorry, that's a lot of money that you're spending on your current plan. Once you enroll in GDEP, you'll be debt-free in 11.7 years and save $40,000 in interest and also $133,671 in payments that you will no longer have to make. So in essence, you're saving over $170,000 by having this program in place. And you're getting out of debt in 11 years versus 25 years. So that's the big general numbers. Now let's break it down to a bit more detail and show you what that looks like in the following page. Okay, so now this goes into the current schedule versus the global debt elimination schedule. So we already said that your total principal and interest is $362,000, and you're going to pay $117,000 in interest over the time frame. It'll take you almost 25 years to be debt free, and you'll pay an average of 5.52% interest, and you'll be debt free in November of 2044. That's what you currently are doing. If you do nothing differently and you add no new debts, this is what's going to take to get out of debt. The client will be like, oh my gosh, I had no idea it would take another 24 years to get out of debt. Okay, but if you use the software they're proposing here, total principal and interest would be $324,000. We'll save $77,000 in interest being paid. So now you're out of debt in 11.6 years, less than half, more than half the time. Your interest rate is cut in half to 2.67, and you're out of debt in January of 2032, 12 years earlier. How's that sound, Mr. and Mrs. Client? That sounds like a pretty good deal. And if you then are able to invest that money that you're saving, let it grow, you could potentially have $1.4 million by the time 2050 hits. How's that sound? So you're out of debt in 12 years, and you're a millionaire by the time you retire, if you invest it properly. The client's already nodding their head. They're saying, yeah, this sounds like a pretty good deal. So let's dig a little deeper. Let's go on to the next pages. Take a look and see what else this program can do. So this is just a quick overview of each individual debt. This is pretty much what you've entered into the system. So let's go to the next page. Page 10 so breaks it down a little bit further and shows you when these debts will be paid off. Okay. So again, you're comparing the current plan versus having the GDEP in place. Okay. So it shows the mortgage company, which is typically the biggest debt people will have. Currently, it's going to take you 24 years to pay it off, and it'll be paid off in December of 2044. Then you have your credit card companies. It has your student loans, your auto, all the information you've entered. The way you're doing it right now, this is how long it's going to take you to pay off the debt. Now, if you enroll in the GDEP program, we're going to knock down all of these debts to these numbers here. So the mortgage is now 11.7 versus 24.5. The student loan instead of 15.3 is now 6.8. So everything is cut in half. And the difference is you have the GDEP fee that Colby mentioned in the first half of the presentation. You see here when that's being paid off. But the real numbers are down here. This is where you start blowing people's mind. So right now you're paying $3,325 a month towards all your debts. Our new plan proposes knocking that down to $3,075. So now we're saving money on a monthly basis, and yet we're out of debt faster. Why? Because the software is telling us how and when to pay off these debts in a more efficient and effective manner than what you're currently doing. Right now, you're scheduled to pay $117,000 in interest. With our program, you're going to pay $77,000 in interest. Right now, your true rate of interest, 47% of your money is going towards interest. With our plan, 31%. That's a big change. That's just throwing money away when you're paying interest. The goal to pay off the debt is the more money you can put towards principal, the less interest gets charged, and the faster you get out of debt. And that's what the software does for us. So this plan pays off debt in November 2044. With the software in place, you pay it off in January 2032, saving those 12 years. A little graph to show you some information, but I like look at the numbers. Page 11 is also a great page. Continues to reinforce the idea of having 100%, being 100% debt-free, 11.7 years, that effective interest rate being 2.7 after it's all said and done, and you're going to save $40,000 in interest and eliminate $133,000 in future payments by being able to pay off this debt early. So that's almost over $170,000 in savings having this program in place. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Client, would you pay $24.95 now to save $170,000 in the future? Absolutely. I think it's a great deal. That's what the software provides. Well, the client might say, well, that's a lot of money to be spending to get out of debt. I'm already in debt. Why do I want to put more debt into my plan? Well, actually, the break-even point of having this software in place is less than a year. It's in 0.9 years is when this will break even with all the savings you already have in place using the software. Now, does that justify having a software to help guide you and help you through this process? Yeah, you know what? It does make sense. I can spend $2,500 today and I can save $170,000 in the future. That's a pretty darn good trade-off in my opinion. What do you think, Mr. and Mrs. Client? Then the last page we look at is those options that you saw that we ran in the software. Let me zoom out just a little so you can see. 5 options. Okay. So you can see you have 5 options. Plan option 1 is no option. That means you don't change the amount of money that you are putting towards your debt. You're not decreasing, you're not increasing. I continue to pay the same amount, just in a more efficient way. You're in debt, you're debt free in 10 years' time, and you save $55,000 in interest. But what if it were to decrease by $100 a month, and that $100 that you're saving, instead of putting towards debt, you put towards savings, you put towards an IUL, you put towards retirement planning? How much does that impact your debt-free date? Well, now you're debt-free in 10.6 years instead of 10 years. You save $50,000 in interest. But now you've had that $100 a month working in your favor, compounding, creating retirement savings for the future. And that's what we want to get our clients to start thinking about is, yes, paying off debt is important, but just as important is planning and saving for retirement. Now, what if we said, okay, instead of saving $100 a month towards the future in retirement planning, what if we did it $200 a month? So $200 a month, paid less towards debt, makes you debt-free in 11.3 years, and you save $44,000 in interest, But now you're saving $200 a month and putting it towards an IUL, putting it towards retirement savings for the future. That's going to get you where you're going to be for retirement purposes. And still get you out of debt in less than half the time, or more than half the time than what your current plan was. If you decrease by 250, 11.7 years, debt-free, interest saved 40. Now, why do we show all these numbers? 100, 200, 250. Is there much of a difference between 10 years, 11.7 years of being debt-free, Mr. and Mrs. Client? I don't think so. A year and a half is not going to make or break you when it comes to getting out of debt, but it could make or break you when it comes to planning for retirement. So the plan that we proposed here that you saw today is this plan right here, is saving $250 a month extra towards savings and planning for retirement, and you're still debt-free in a very reasonable amount of time. It's really not impacting your budget that much. So don't you think it makes sense to start putting money aside for a plan for the future and using this software to get you out of debt? We think so. Now, what if you told me I want to actually put more money towards the debt plan? I want to put an additional $100 because I have that money versus saving it for the future. How much would I save then? Well, you'll be debt-free in 9.5 years instead of 10 years. Again, I don't know if that makes much sense because now you're putting more money towards your debts and you're really not knocking down the time frame that much. I'd rather pay yourself $250 a month to save and plan for the future, and you're still out of debt 11.7 years versus your original plan of being out of debt in 24 years. So that's why we presented this solution to you, Mr. Jerry Seinfeld, is because we feel that you could get out of debt in less than half the time and still be able to save and plan for the future. That's why we thought this might be the best solution for you. So this is the beauty of having this software in place, is a tool to help you and help your clients not only get out of debt, but also start thinking about, well, I can also plan and save for retirement. It's not hopeless. You can still have a plan in place. And that's the beauty of having GDEP in your portfolio. So you can start offering an additional solution to your clients and start changing the conversation of, we can help you not only save and plan for a tax-free retirement, we can also get you out of debt at the same time. And it doesn't cost you that much money. $2,500 today and paid off within a year to save $170,000 of future interest and payments. That's a trade-off that I think nobody can pass up. So that's the beauty of having this software in place.